All right, welcome to the Biscuits and SEC Week 6 preview show. I am your host, Stephen Willis, alongside the Hammer. How you doing today, bud?
Stephen, doing well. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no problem. Real quick, before we jump into Week 6, what's some takeaways from Week 5 for you?
Man, quite a bit of takeaways. I think the biggest thing that stood out to me is just when you look at Alabama and Georgia, they appear to have separated from the pack. Obviously, both had pretty big showdowns with Ole Miss and Arkansas, and neither team had any trouble. So we'll see if anybody can give them a game before the SEC title. But I thought both of their wins were very impressive. Um, obviously Kentucky getting a big win against Florida is a big storyline. I've seen a lot of stuff out of Gainesville. People are not too happy with Dan Mullen, but big win for Kentucky. And then, when you look at A&M, that's another big storyline. They're 0-2 in the SEC with Bama coming to town. So you're looking at 0-3, which is obviously not the start that Jimbo Fisher and that team were expecting. So a lot of big storylines across the SEC as usual.
Yeah, going to that Texas A&M game, a year where fans were expecting to compete with Alabama for the SEC West Championship. Now it looks like a distinct possibility that they're competing with, of all people, LSU for the seller of the SEC West, which is such a weird turnaround for both those programs.
It really is. Coming into the year, it would have been hard to believe, and it's still hard to believe, when you look at it and just the talent that those teams have. But both of them have looked really bad, and yeah, they really at this point seem to be probably battling it out for the last two spots in the West. Obviously, a lot of football to be played and a lot of conference games to be played. So both programs have an opportunity to dig themselves out of that hole. But as things stand right now, especially with how Mississippi State looked, and given some of their losses earlier, especially the Memphis one, were a little bit fluky. I definitely would say that they're A&M and LSU are probably the worst teams going right now in the West, which is just crazy to think about.
Yeah, Mississippi State's really a fumble at the beginning of their LSU game away from kind of taking control of that game. LSU had a couple of big plays. Butte's a hell of a receiver. Whether he's all they've got or not, I don't know. But Mississippi State is in a lot better position than we thought they'd be at the beginning of the season. I honestly, Texas A&M, Auburn, LSU. That's weird to say. This is absolutely weird to say. But it feels like one of those schools are going to end up in the bottom of the West.
Yeah, I agree. And as we just said, that there's a lot of football to be played, so they're all going to play each other, and they're going to have a chance to write their own destiny. But I agree. Based on what we've seen, those three seem to be kind of in the bottom end. Auburn has obviously a big matchup this weekend. They got a great win last week against LSU, which I didn't think they had it in them, but Bo Nix played a
Yeah,
great
LSU
game, and
made Bo Nix look like Johnny Football.
yeah, he made some pretty incredible plays. So it's just an interesting year. Like I was saying, I mean, you've got Alabama ahead of everybody, and then beyond that, I think the rest of those games should be very competitive. Whether it's whoever's playing, it could be Auburn, LSU, Ole Miss, A&M. They all should be pretty competitive games. So it'll make for an exciting into the season and sort of, as we're getting into the second half and middle October into November, there should be a lot of good matchups that maybe won't be featuring ranked teams, but if you follow the SEC closely, there'll be a lot of big storylines to keep an eye on.
Yeah, speaking of big storylines, before this weekend, we'll go ahead and shift into Week 6 real quick. Tennessee in their dark mode uniforms, I guess they're calling it. I don't know. I gotta go back and forth between I really like them and I don't like them. It is the strangest thing.
Personally, I'm not a fan. I like Tennessee's regular uniforms. I think their shade of orange is very classy, and it's just traditional, classic college football. Um, to me, I saw this on Twitter, so it's not
Hmm. All right.